everyone! Welcome back to my Dragon Quest VI walkthrough. Joining me today is Skyzo. How you doing?
Hello YouTube, I'm doing well.
That's good to hear.
So, what are we doing this episode?
We're gonna be fighting a bunch of guys, basically.
Any bosses?
Yep, all bosses. And we're gonna sell that Staff of Thunder that we got from the king in the last episode, because it's not really all that useful, actually. Instead, we're gonna get a Battle Axe to increase Carver's attack power a little. And now, we're going to fight our very first mini-boss right now.
Let's see. Oh, just fought the Garm, I guess.
Yep. And now, this guy he's pretty unremarkable, so what you want to do is just use power-up every first turn, and then use your strongest attack on the second turn. That way it'll be multiplied by 2.5 times, or just twice the amount. It varies a little. You want to get sap on him twice, even though he's a little resistant to it. You want to have Millie get the buff spell on everyone at least once to increase their defense, and other than that, you just whack him upside the head till he's dead.
That was a great laugh.
Thank ya. And look, already he can't really do much of anything to us.
Well, he did bring up Emma's HP down to red, I think, at one point.
That's partially because we're using double-edged slash. It's that one move that I mentioned. Does 25% of the damage you do right back at you. It's kind of like double edge from Pokemon.
Is it worth the recoil? Because double edge... Well, it is worth it sometimes.
Yeah, and remember, we're going for speed, so for me, it's good. It's only just under Knuckle Sandwich in terms of attack power. And Carver's the only one who has Knuckle Sandwich right now, so it's Amos's strongest attack.
What is Knuckle Sandwich? It's an attack?
Knuckle Sandwich it's what this translation is calling Spirit Punch. It's what we learned when we talked to Carver's statue. It does double the amount of damage of a regular melee attack. The only thing is, some enemies are resistant to it, since it's considered part of the rock or melee element. Some of them are hit by it 100%, others will hardly ever be hit by it at all. You just gotta know.
Okay, so it's more of a situational move, I understand.
Yeah. But when it works, it really works. Because it's like it's a 2 times multiplier stacked on top of like a 2 to 2.5 times multiplier. And it just gets absurd at times. Also,
so, I'm thinking
these
that
guys... Sorry, I gotta cover these guys real quick. So, both of them are on a fixed attack pattern. The left guy will lower your defense, and sometimes use the double up, which doubles his attack at the cost of making it so he takes twice as much himself. But on the turns that he does that, the right guy will use Selflessness and cover him for all of his attacks, so he'll be taking them instead. Which basically allows him to do double up without suffering the repercussions. So first, we want to try and get rid of the left guy before he lowers our defense by too much. Sorry for the interruption. What were you gonna say?
That's fine. I was gonna ask whether like every single multiplier stacks, because if they do, then it's just ridiculous.
Yep, sure do.
That's pretty... I mean, almost seems like an oversight to me, but...
One could argue that.
Was this-
it's why we give all our seeds of strength to Carver.
Was this addressed in like in the remake?
Nope.
I imagine it was.
It was not.
Okay. You okay? You're quiet.
No, just didn't have anything else to add. Quite bipolar that way. When I have a lot to say, I have a lot to say. When I don't have a lot to say, it's just quiet. It's kind of why you're here, actually. A lot of this LP would be dead air without you.
All that, I mean, that's just a good addition then. You could say I synergized a few.
Precisely. Oh, there is one other thing I could mention. You know how Rex was using the Fire Claw? And that's still doing a lot of damage? You'll notice that Millie is actually casting a spell just like that. And we got that during our job class grinding last episode, since she was in the wizard class before changing back to not having a class at all. That's why we got that for her. You learn that after fighting just one battle. That's 70 to 90 damage, single targeting attack. One battle. It's beautiful.
It sounds pretty good. I wonder how enemies in the future of this game will fare against an attack like that. I imagine they'll be getting stronger, but I guess you never know.
Well, some of them resist it. Like this next guy, he has a 30% resistance to it, so it only does about 70%. Like around 50 damage instead.
That's pretty significant.
Yep. And now we're gonna get that small medal real quick, and we're gonna fight probably the toughest, the second toughest of the bosses, mini-bosses we'll be fighting, Brutus. Now, like Murdaugh, he goes by a semi-fixed attack pattern rather than a totally fixed one. So what he does, he can either do multi-slice, which is a melee attack that gets everyone. That's what he just used there. He can also do something called thin air, which is a more magical-based attack that does around, I'd say, around 40 damage to everyone. And this is one of the rare occasions where he's just as tough in the remakes, because in the remake, they buffed that move by plus 20 points, so he actually does around 50 in the remakes. Of course, we have platinum males, so most of our fighters don't care. It's just the guys in the back row that don't have magic-resistant equipment will be in a spot of danger. In any case, just get, I think, 3 buffs on everyone but Millie. Millie, we can just let die after she does her job, because all of our dead party members get revived at the end of this. So we really just need our melee attackers to live, because that makes the fight faster.
Sounds good. I was actually going to ask why the king and queen are in like a little tiny arena. Like, what's going on?
You'll see. Anyways, the very last detail I should note, you see how Carver took a lot more damage there? That's because I'm using something, it's called Double Up in the remakes, and it's called Berserk here. It's just like the move that the last mini-boss used, which is to double your melee attack at the cost of taking double damage. And in the future, we're gonna use double-edged slash instead, because that does basically the same thing without making you nearly so exposed, but Carver doesn't know that yet, so we're using that to double up. And there you go, he's dead.
That wasn't so difficult.
Yeah. The game's actually pretty good about making it so that a lot of the bosses after Murdaugh, like, they have their own tips and tricks, so they can still kill you. But you can sort of hard counter them in a way, if you know how, whereas with Murdaugh, he just resisted all your status ailments, had a lot of defense and HP, just hit you really hard. And, like, his quote-unquote weaknesses were that he didn't resist the Fire Claw that much and went on a semi-fixed pattern. Like, he was just... You know what I mean?
Yeah, pretty much a jack of all trades with no drawbacks.
Basically, and he's the Act 1 boss, so it's fitting.
Yeah, I mean, how many acts are there in this game?
I'd say 3.
Well, I imagine what the other final bosses are then.
The Act 2 final boss isn't actually that bad. Like, Carver gets this obscene move called Forbearance, which allows him to take on all attacks that would otherwise be aimed at other party members. And there's kind of an exploit you can do with that shuts the Act 2 final boss down completely. The Act 3 final boss, whoo boy, I mean, there's more strategy to him, but that's a guy that throws everything but the kitchen sink at you. So I look forward to covering him.
Sounds very exciting, and the move that you mentioned reminds me of Follow Me from Generation 3. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it.
I am.
But yeah, it pretty much draws all attacks to the user, but the drawback is that the Pokemon that have access to it, they're very weak, so you're not going to get too much value out of it. I mean, that's about it. And something to note as well is that in Pokemon Emerald Kaizo, there are some double battles where the opponent takes advantage of this move to really set up on you, and there's not much you can do about it unless you kill the Follow Me user quickly. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's basically how Forbearance is. And Carver has a ton of hit points and defense. Just another reason why he's so good.
If you had low defense, then the move would be limited in how useful it is, so it would just kind of defeat the purpose.
Indeed. Now, we're going to be spamming Sneak throughout the game from now on, so we get very little random encounters. And you'll notice that I'll keep using it before it actually wears off. You're supposed to get a text box that says when it's run out. But thanks to the fact I'm using tassing tools to clean up movement and the like, I can just know when it's gonna run out and just use it right before it does. Speedruns would actually use that because they've memorized all the points at which that's gonna happen, but it saves like a minute and a half throughout the game, like in total, so it's not something I generally worry about if I was playing casually. It's just, you know, since I have the option and I want a clean walkthrough, why not?
Yeah, and this is a cutscene?
Yeah, featuring our totally not future party member. Ignore the manual, ignore the box art, ignore that he has his own spin-off series. Totally not important. Totally.
So what is what does this dragon guy do? Why is he here?
He was the guy that was terrorizing the kingdom we were at. See, all those soldiers that we fought, they were trying to take down this dragon, but this dragon was just really tough. So the king was looking for foreign warriors to do what his soldiers couldn't. That's why he had you fight all of them, because his logic was, if you can't beat them, he'd just be sending you to your death.
Okay, so it was more of a test.
Exactly.
And he, like, the new party member just pretty much beat the dragon effortlessly.
Yep. That guy, he's something else. Like, and if we were to ever get him, he'd probably be like, I don't know, level 38. He'd have all vocations mastered. He'd just bench press our entire party by himself. It sure would be swell, wouldn't it? I'll bet he's the most overpowered guy ever. What do you think, Skyzo?
Well, what do you call a character that just has no flaws? There's a name for it. I think it's...
Gary Stu?
Yeah, Mary Sue. So, I think... Does that apply to him, you think?
Well, what do you think? I think that cutscene really painted a clear picture.
There's no character development on him?
Absolutely.
There is?
Yep.
Okay, so it's not as bad then, because could you imagine if he was just a basic character who just could just beat anything? That would be very uninteresting.
Well, Skyzo, I promise you that is not gonna be a problem. But we're not gonna get him. It's totally unimportant.
So the way you're hyping up the addition of the new party member, I'm wondering if he'll be...
Nope, not new party member. Totally unimportant.
Okay, but I wonder if he'll become a new MVP for the party, and what his roles will be, I guess.
Well, let me just say, if Terry had been joining our party, he could have been the key to all this. That if we could have gotten him working, because he's a handsomer character than we've ever had before, he's a funnier character than we've ever had, faster, stronger, just cooler character than we've ever had before. It could have been great.
It's gonna be great.
No, could have been great.
It's gonna be amazing.
No, I'm saying could have been great. Past tense.
It's gonna be great.
No! Now, for this town, some more sequence triggers that we have to trip. We have to talk to a guy in a well, and after that, we'll have to talk to a few guys inside a few of the houses. That will turn at night and allow us to go to an island called it's the floating island. It's gonna take us to a place called the Island of Smiles, a supposed paradise on Earth. So us, just not having anything better to do, we're gonna go along and see if it's all it's cracked up to be.
Did you see that? Why did that NPC have the same spread as you?
Because Amos is optional, and kind of the joke is that Amos is so optional, he doesn't even have a unique sprite. Not in this version.
Okay, I was a bit confused.
Yep. Now, the remakes did something a little clever with that. They redrew that generic soldier sprite a little, but kept Amos's sprite the same. So he does kind of have his own unique identity. And they also made him sort of a fourth wall breaking character if you check his party chat. Like, a lot of his dialogue is kind of like winks and nudges to the character, while it's talking in his own odd way, like in the third person and all.
They're so strange.
He's a cool guy, though.
So what is this? Another fetch quest that the lady on the bed is gonna send us in?
Nope. We just wanted to talk about the Island of Smiles for a bit. Since we talked to enough arbitrary people, it's now nighttime and we get to check it out.
Actually sounds pretty cool that you have that option. Reminds me of the Dark World in Zelda.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we're on a floating island.
It does not look like it at all.
Well, it's floating.
Yeah, but it just seems like a regular island.
Yeah, well, looks can be deceiving, can't they? See, look, it's floating. They're like driving it and everything.
Looks like it's just gliding on the water like a boat. Oh, it's great. I love it. What is this?
I don't know.
Isn't that the same basic enemy sprite?
Yeah.
So why is this a thing? Is this like the underworld?
Well, we're on the Island of Smiles, and it's supposed to be like Utopia. It's just... Utopia is looking a lot more, hellish than I thought it was. What do you think, Skyzo? This seem like a good place?
Well, I like the character on the front. What kind of creature even is that? Like a bird guy. I like him. That's a cool design.
I guess? What would you call him? Like an eagle without wings? Like a chimera?
No, he does have wings. Yeah, I guess chimera would be a good fit. And also griffin would be a good fit as well. What's going on here in the story?
They just want to kill people. Now, let's cover this guy. This guy's deal is that he kinda swings for the fences. He's got this flame breath like first Murdaugh had, and he can either attack once or attack twice in a turn. Sometimes he'll use Frizzle, which does up to 72 damage. So he can do a lot of burst damage if you get unlucky. So what we want to do is we want to buff two guys. We want to buff Carver, and we want to buff Rex, to where his melee attacks do next to nothing. We'll want to let Amos and Millie die, just like that. And that way we only have to worry about healing up two party members. Because he does a lot of damage, but he doesn't have any status ailments the same way Murdaugh had. So all he does is damage. So if we can just heal up faster than he can do damage, we're fine.
Can I just point out how stupid his idle sprite looks compared to his overworld sprite?
With the tongue and everything?
Yep, look at that. That's a great face.
He's excited about what he does. Let's put it that way.
So he's just sacrificing, I guess, the monsters? I don't understand.
He's sacrificing you with false promises of a utopia.
Okay, so it's more like a bait. People come in the island and are sacrificed.
Yeah. Now, as you can see, he does a lot. Once again, it's just you're slower than him, so you always go after him. So if you just preemptively heal whoever has lower HP, he can't really do much of anything. It's also why Carver had the Waters of Amor, so that if Rex needed to defend, he could just do that and Carver could heal him up with basically the same amount of HP as the Staff of Ghent. So both of them are capable of healing. Both of them have upper. So it's very easy just boosting your defense as high as you need to do. Our party members don't get revived, but levels aren't that important.
Why don't you just... Okay, so he had those people frozen in statues, but couldn't he just have killed them?
I don't know. I don't know how these demon types work. Now, this is a guy that they sealed away, though. The Metal King. You know those small medals we've been collecting throughout the game? Do you?
What's that?
You know those small medals we've been collecting throughout the game?
Small medals? I don't think I do.
Well, throughout the game we've been collecting small medals from like pots and chests and all that. Probably we were too engaged in conversation to notice, but you collect enough of them and you give it to the small metal king. See, like that? Now you give enough to the small metal king and he gives you really powerful items. So powerful the demon lords thought to seal him away. Since we just beat up Jamirus, the spell was undone, and now we can visit him and get some powerful stuff, if we've been diligent about collecting stuff.
Okay, sounds pretty good. Sounds like a good trade.
Yeah, it is a good trade. It's also part of my 100% definition. There's a total of 106 mini-medals throughout the game. You only need 100 of them to get all the stuff, but I figured I'd get all 106 because completionist, 100%.
Yeah, although on the topic of small medals and trading the items that you get to the king, like, if you don't know about that, and how would you be clued in that such a trade would be possible to begin with?
I think he said during the dialogue that when he was a floaty ghost, that you could do that.
Okay, that's good then.
And now we're gonna go on our next adventure. At this point, the game doesn't really give you any direction at all. It just sort of lets you explore the map with your floating island. By the way, we have a floating island now. We just drive it around.
Drive it around like a boat.
Yep. So, the conceit of this part of the game is that you just go to different places and solve whatever problems you see. No real focused story with Murda anymore. And we'll find out about that next time. Consider giving a like if you enjoyed, sub if you want to see more, and let me know what you thought in the comments. I love constructive criticism. God bless you, everyone.
Okay, see you, YouTube.